Hey church, Christmas season is here. This is often the month where we get bombarded by what society tells us we need to focus on. We are buying gifts, attending parties, snagging sales, making last-minute travel plans, trying to create memories with our families. These aren't bad things, but it starts to feel more like a mad scramble to fit everything in instead of a moment to reflect on the greatest gift we were ever given. I want to challenge all of us to slow down this Christmas and remember what it's all about. Christmas is the perfect season to focus on generosity. It's not just about the gifts under the tree, it's about the joy created when we give to others. In fact, your support here at South Hills Church helps create meaningful experiences, supports our community outreach, and ensures that ministry continues to happen. So thank you for the way that you have faithfully given. I want to show you a quick look on where our budget is so far this year based on your giving. These numbers reflect the overall budget we set for the fiscal year. You'll also see the amount received based on the tithes and offerings. And finally, you'll see the current difference in our budget that we need to make up before June 30th. I believe it's important to be transparent with our budget and let you know where we are at as a church. This is why tomorrow, December 4th at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we are going to hold a Zoom meeting to let you in on our church finances. You get an opportunity to meet the team behind running our finances, who holds us accountable. You're going to be able to ask questions. So if you'd like to be a part of our financial church meeting tomorrow at 6 p.m., you can sign up through our Church Center app so you can be a part of this meeting. As we approach the end of the year, it's a great time to be thinking about how we can make a difference through our giving. Oh, and don't forget that when you give before the year wraps up, it's all tax deductible. One more added bonus as you're thinking about what God might be asking you to do this holiday season.
We try to fold the Christmas story into something simple and sweet. But the characters aren't at all two-dimensional. And the forces that sought to sabotage them are still a threat to you.
I love what Pastor Moses said because for me, and I've said this before, we are here solely because of your giving. It's not like we get some subsidized finance thing from somewhere. We are here solely because of your giving, and that's why we're able to do what we do. But whenever you give to a church, some people might think, well, where does this go? What do you guys do with it? Like, what is going on here? You know, I mean, we've seen a lot of bad examples of this, certainly. This is cool because you can see. What do you do with it? Well, here was what we do with it, you know. And so if you want to get on that call, please do. We are very above board. We want to make sure that there's no shady, funny business going on. So we want you to know what we know. Okay, now it is officially Christmas time. It's Christmas season, and yeah, thank you. Okay, and I have, it's interesting, I love Christmas songs. I don't, I always like to listen to Christmas music before Thanksgiving, if you know me. Yeah, right? Day after Halloween, you're just like Christmas songs, right? And anybody else out there like that? Thank you very much. Well, another thing that I like to do is I like to find out, what about Christmas movies? Do you guys have a favorite Christmas movie? Okay. I actually looked up the top 5 Christmas movies that people voted for, and here's what people said. And I don't hate this list. I do not hate this list. Number 5 is It's a Wonderful Life. That's a good one. It's one of my favorites. Number 4 is A Christmas Story. That's a good one. You'll shoot your eye out, kid. Number 3, Home Alone. It's another really good one. 2 is Elf. And the number 1, any guesses the number 1? Vacation. Christmas Vacation. It is absolutely the best Christmas movie, I think. It's so great. The funny thing about Christmas Vacation is that in every movie or in every story, you have a villain. But in Christmas Vacation, there really isn't a villain. Right? You can think, well, maybe it's the neighbors, but the neighbors are the brunt of all the jokes, They get their house destroyed and everything. So, well, maybe it's the boss. But the boss turns out to be a cool guy at the end. Or maybe it's Cousin Eddie, right? I love Cousin Eddie. He's like my favorite. I don't know how I'd feel if my cousin was emptying a septic tank on my street, but he is great. And then, or maybe it's Clark. Well, he's trying to impose his will and make Christmas perfect. But really, the reason we love Christmas Vacation is we could see ourselves or our relatives in all of these characters, and that's what makes it so funny. Right? I'm sure that we've all had a meltdown at Christmas where we wanted to give a speech like Clark did at the end of the movie, right? Like when Bing Crosby tap danced with Danny Kaye. Like it's like those types of speeches because we've all gotten so frustrated and angry. But we all can relate to one of these characters. Here's what I'm going to ask you this morning. What if there is a bad guy in a story, and what if you relate more to the bad guy than to the good guy? Okay, now, I'm going to give you an example. When I was a kid, I went to summer camp, and at summer camp, they took us to the movies. And we went to go see the movie Karate Kid. Anybody see the movie Karate Kid? Okay. In Karate Kid, there was a clear-cut hero and villain. Do we have the picture of the Karate Kid, the hero and villain? Okay. Daniel was considered the hero, whereas Johnny was considered the villain, right? Does everybody kind of agree with that? I'm going to tell you right now, as a kid, I didn't think Daniel was the hero at all. I think Johnny was actually hey, Daniel, he butt in where he wasn't supposed to butt in. He pours water on Johnny. As a little kid, I'm thinking I kind of like Johnny a little bit better. The Cobra Kai's gis are way cooler, you know? And like, so for me, the hero in this movie was this guy right here. Hands down, this guy. That was, to me, was the hero. Maybe that shows you how jacked up I was as a kid, but I'm thinking, I want to be that guy. That guy's cool. And you may not know, guys, what you may not know is your pastor is a Cobra Kai. It's true. Here's my sensei. Check this out. There he is. Johnny Lawrence himself, right there. So I identified more with that. Now the truth is that the actor who played him is William Zabka, and he's a really cool guy. He attends our South Hills Burbank campus, and when I was there guest teaching, he was there, and he knew that I was a big fan, and so they go, James, come here, and I was like kind of embarrassed, and they come here. I'm like, oh, okay, and I go over there, and I go, hey, I'm a really big fan, and I told him, he's like, yeah, that's great, and he's like, well, you're a Cobra Kai now. I was like, yes. And he goes like, all right, let's get a picture. And I'm like, all right. And I'm smiling. So, Cobra Kais don't smile. I'm like, okay. So that's my sensei. So, okay, what happens when you actually identify more with the villain? What does that look like? Now, here's the truth. In the Christmas story, there is a clear-cut villain. There is no mistaking who the villain is. It is black and white. It is clear as day. It is, everybody agrees, we know who the villain is. The villain is obviously Herod, or Herod the Great. He was vicious. He was murderous. He was maniacal. He was paranoid. He was all of these things. Now, here's where it gets a little bit more tricky. You see, what most people don't understand is Christmas was also for Herod. So when the angel came to the shepherds, they could have easily have said, I bring Herod also good news of great joy for all people. All people means all people, not just Christians, not just Jesus is here for the Jewish people, not just, we are here for everybody. This is good news of great joy for all people, including Herod. But Herod was so wrapped up in his own stuff that he could not see the beauty of what Christmas is because he's only consumed with his own little thing. It's like, this is what I want. This is Christmas is, I don't care about Christmas. I want what I want. I'm going to dive in a little bit of who this guy was, okay? Herod was born about 73 BC. He comes to power in his mid-20s. He's soon crowned king of Judea. And this guy was absolutely crazy. As soon as he gets to be powerful, he starts having people murdered. His wife's grandfather, he has got his wife murdered. His wife's mother, his mother-in-law murdered. 2 of his sons murdered. And basically the idea and the thought behind this is, I don't want anybody coming close to my power. So he has all these people killed. And he believed that it was this paranoia that made him successful. Okay? He formed alliances, and so he was married 10 times. And each of these 10 wives was to basically create an alliance. In fact, he actually built some unbelievable structures in Israel. In fact, these structures are so impressive that if you were to go to Israel today, you will still see them. So how impressive they are. he actually he held grudges. So like if you were his enemy, he would tax you higher to pay for these buildings. He was hated. He was successful, but he was also very hated. Little fun fact about Herod. Herod gave orders that he was so worried that when he died, nobody would mourn his death. So what he did was he gave orders that upon his death, that they would gather some very respected people in the area and have them killed so that on the day of his death, there would be genuine mourning, okay? That's how crazy this person is. Now, knowing this is who he is, he's not going to receive the news of a king coming to save us. Okay, one day, Magi come, these wise men, they come and they say, hey, Herod, we've got some news. You know what's been prophesied, what's been in scriptures for thousands of years, and it's been prophesied? This is happening. We could tell this is happening. We could see the signs that it's happening, and we could even pinpoint exactly where it's going to happen. Knowing how Herod is, and they say the Messiah is about to be born, we are going from Scripture, and this is all leading to this very moment. How do you think Herod's going to take that? Obviously not very well. We see here in Matthew 2:1, it says this. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea, during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him. When Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all Jerusalem with him. When he called together all the people's chief priests and teachers of the law, he asked them where the Messiah was to be born. In Bethlehem in Judea, they replied, for this is what the prophet has written. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For out of you will come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel. Then Herod called the Magi secretly and found out from them exactly the exact time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search carefully for the child. As soon as you find him, report to me so that I too may go and worship him. Okay, do you seriously think he's going to go worship him? Of course not. Herod, this is toward the end of Herod's life, just so you know. I honestly think this sped up the end of his life. I think that he probably had very high blood pressure. I think he probably had some heart issues. I think he was probably stressed beyond belief. Why? Because something was about to take away his control, and he couldn't deal with that. Much like us. If something is going to threaten my control or my power or what I have, I'm not going to be good with that. Well, and Herod was just he's like, hey, I can't have anybody else I worked hard for this, and I am not going to have this ruined by this new Messiah. So here's what happens. Matthew 2:16, when Herod realized that he had been outwitted by the Magi, he was furious, and he gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem and its vicinity who were 2 years old and under, in accordance with the time he had learned from the Magi. Then, what was said through the prophet Jeremiah was fulfilled. A voice is heard in Ramah, weeping and great mourning. Rachel weeping for her children and refusing to be comforted because they are no more. After Herod died, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt and said, get up, take the child and his mother and go to the land of Israel, for those who are trying to take this child's life are now dead. Now, he's so paranoid, he's actually having all children, all boys under 2 killed because he cannot have this happen. Now, here's what we're going to be talking about mainly today. It's so easy to see Herod as the villain because he clearly is, but, and you might want to remember this, there might be a tiny Herod in each of us threatening Christmas still. Okay? And this is where we got to get really real with ourselves. Okay? Now, I know what you're thinking. I'm clearly not this guy. I mean, come on. I'm not this murderous, raging lunatic. Here's what I mean by that, guys. Every one of us wrestles with the desire for control and power, even if we don't really recognize, even if we don't admit it. We all wrestle with this. We come to believe that all of our money, all of our possessions, all of our relationships, all of our health are because I did it. Okay? My money's my money. I earned that money. My possessions are my possessions. I bought them. These are my kids. This is my husband. This is my wife. This belongs to me. And we forget that God is the one who actually gifted all of these things to you. We forget that and we say, no, it's mine. I did it. And what happens is we end up, if you're ever going to try to take control of something, you hold on to it like this and you don't let go. And so what we do is we hold on tight to our finances, right? but it's my money. I earned it. I'm not going to do anything. God didn't give me this. I did. I worked hard for it. This is my relationship. These are my kids. This is my stuff. And this is my health. I eat right. I go to the gym. I did it. It's mine. And we hold on super tight. But what happens when one of those things starts to loosen up? We could become pretty maniacal. We could become pretty crazy. Like, we could think, oh my gosh, I'm losing control of my kids. They're making decisions I don't agree with. And we go out of our mind as if we can control that. And when we can't control, we're like, what are we supposed to do? Or our health. The second you're thinking, wait a second, I'm young and I'm healthy and the doctor said they want to run more tests. What are you talking about? We will lose our mind. Why? Because we want to control it. We want to have all control over it. So this Christmas season, guys, this is a time of year where we totally forget what actually Christmas means. This is a time where many of us do not reflect on how we're loved by God. This is a time where many of us do not reflect that all of our wealth and all of our health and all of our relationships are from God. This is a time where we think of how are we gonna have the perfect Christmas dinner. How am I going to afford all the presents that I want to buy for everybody? How is my house going to look better than my neighbor's house? How is the Christmas card picture going to be? The list goes on and on and on. Did you know that statistically speaking, Christmas is the most depressing time of year? Why would that be? When you grasp for power, you miss the joy. I'm going to say that again. When you grasp for power, you miss the joy. In other words, I'm going to control everything this Christmas. We're going to have the greatest Christmas in the world. And when you grasp for all that power, all the joy is gone. Because the second one thing doesn't go right, everything's ruined. And guys, I want to make sure that you understand this. There is a difference between happy and joy. Okay? So joy, and I'm going to give you the biblical definition of joy. Joy is choosing to respond to external circumstances with inner contentment and satisfaction. And when you're relying on yourself, by definition, you're choosing to reject joy because you're choosing to reject God's power. You're doing it on your own power. Have you ever tried to run a relationship on your own power? It is exhausting. It's hard. It's impossible, really. Because inevitably, they're going to let you down. And when they let you down, you're like, this isn't part of my plan. I don't know what's going on here. And then you start to panic, or your health or whatever, right? So again, yes, Herod is the villain. But instead of just dismissing him as a villain of the story, what are we going to learn from this guy? He was clearly part of the story. Clearly, it was meant that he was to be part of this story. So what can we learn from him? Because the truth is, guys, the same relentless pursuit of power he was driven by, we may be driven by as well. Okay, they could be our insecurities. That might drive for us for power. The fear of the unknown. We have to know everything. And if we don't, we panic. Being a victim. My life would be so much better if it wasn't for this person who ruined everything, or this thing, or the government, or whatever. Greed, pride, etc. Psychologists have identified 5 different assumptions or false beliefs that if we internalize can drive us to become little Herods. So we're going to take a look at them right now. The first one's control. So here's an example of what it could look like. Have you ever had a Christmas ruined because somebody was trying to take control of things? Let's just use the example of the Christmas menu, okay? There are, and no joke, there are people where if the food is off, Christmas is ruined, okay? So if you're like, you know what? You were supposed to make the cream corn. I did. It's all burnt. I can't serve this. Now Christmas is ruined. Or you were supposed to make the dessert. I know, but I got caught up and I was busy. So here, I brought this from Marie Callender's. It's a store-bought pie. We can't eat a store-bought pie at Christmas. You have to take this pie and you have to go away. Christmas is now ruined, right? Because I'm in control of the menu and I say it has to be like this. And if it's not like this, it's over. The second one is perfection. Some of us I love decorating my house for Christmas. It's so much fun. It is great. But some of us decorate our house like we're in Better Homes and Gardens or something. You know, it's like nobody's even here. Why? Like, you're decorating it for the people we see every day. And so like they go crazy decorating. And then the outside, I mean, give me a break, right? It's like my neighbor spent $500. I got to spend $1,000 on lights. And if you can't see it from space, it's just not a success, right? So it's like, I want my lights to be seen from everywhere. And so we go crazy about that. And it's got to be perfect. And we drives us crazy. The other one is always having the answer. A lot of times, guys, Christians actually fall prey to this, unfortunately, because maybe you have people that aren't Christian in your household, and you go, Christmas is really about the birth of Jesus, which is true. That's what it is. But then people have some questions, and maybe you don't know the answers to them, so you maybe have to try to be more biblical or more spiritual. You don't have to have all the answers, guys. It's okay. Being there for others is great. That's great. But some people look at being there for others as telling them what to do and how to live. That's not being there for others. Listen, if you're going to be there for somebody, that means you have to talk less and listen more. We do the other way around. I'm going to be there for you, so let me tell you how to be more like me. Well, okay? Because what they hear is, I'm better than you. That's what they're hearing. And then the last one is approval of others. Guys, I am sure that a lot of Christmases have been ruined because you do not have the approval of the other people. They didn't say anything about the ham I made, and I spent all day making it. Nobody said anything about it. The kid didn't have the reaction I wanted them to have the reaction to when they opened up the present. So-and-so doesn't approve of me, or I could tell, and the way they look at me, and I try so hard, but no matter what I do, and Christmas is ruined. And you just want to go home, right? So we have all of these things, guys, and when we get obsessed about these things, what happens is we actually have less violent attributes of Herod, because we're trying to control and be perfect and do all these things, and we don't want to let anything get in the way. And here's what I mean by that, guys. At the end of the day, it all robs us of our joy. Herod was unable to see the beauty of Christmas. Think about this, guys. This is a king in an area where Jesus, the Messiah, was about to be born. How incredible is that? How incredible is that? If I knew, I get it. I know there's Messiah coming. I know that scriptures have already prophesied about it. I already get all that. Hey, he's now here. And instead of seeing the joy in that, he's like, I got to get rid of him because he might be cutting into my action here. And he was unable to see that, guys. And the truth is that it's impossible for us to have all these things done perfectly. And you got to remember, as we get into this season, these 5 attributes can only be found perfectly in God. And so you got to give it to him and let him do it. So before the mayhem begins of this Christmas season, remember this, guys. This is a time to remember someone's going to get on your nerves. Count on it. You all know who it is, too. You're like, I know I'm going to see so-and-so. I get on my nerves. Pretend like I like them. The meal may not be perfect. It's okay. It's okay if the meal's not perfect. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Your house may not look perfect. Maybe there might be a thing. One year we had a flood, and our Christmas tree actually fell over and broke all of our ornaments, and we were crushed. Remember, Melanie was just sitting there in tears. That happened to be one of the best Christmases ever because our church family actually came the next week and brought us all ornaments. And now when we decorate our tree, we're like, wow, that is cool because it's got such different meanings now. For some of you, this Christmas might be hard because maybe the person you want to spend Christmas with doesn't want to spend Christmas with you. And this is a time where you feel rejected. Maybe this is going to be a hard time because you're mourning the loss of somebody this Christmas. And Christmas isn't going to be quite the same because you're mourning that loss. But guys, when this happens, remember these 5 things. God is in control, so we don't have to be. Remember that. God's in control. I don't have to be in control. I'm good. God is perfect, so I want you to hear this clearly. So that means you could do it well enough. You don't have to be perfect. Just do it your best. Do it well enough. God's perfect. God knows all. So we don't have to. You're not going to know it all. If somebody asks you a question about the Bible and you don't know it, don't make up the answer, okay? It's like, what if I accept Jesus, but I listen to heavy metal music? Well, you're going to hell, I think. I don't know. No, don't make up the answer, okay? God is there for people in pain. If you're in pain this year, if you're like, listen, you know what? I'm missing this loved one. I thought I was going to have a loved one. I don't have the money to buy what I wanted to buy. Whatever. God is with you. He is with you in the pain. Understand that. And then God gives us our approval through the work of Christ. And here's what I mean by that. And I want to make this perfectly clear. If there are people in your life who don't like you, so what? There are people that don't like me either. It's okay. I know it's hard to believe. But you know what? It's okay. It's all right. Don't worry about it. Because you know what? God's already approved of you. So a lot of times, guys, the reason what prevents us from having joy is all we could think about are not all the people that love us. The only person in the face we see is the one that doesn't. Who cares? They're gone. Don't worry about it. Get it out of your head. Okay? So when that happens, though, like Herod, when we try to do the job that is already reserved for Jesus, it causes us to go crazy. And it ruins that moment. Now, think about this for a second, guys. Jesus has all the power. He's at the right hand of God. He is from the very beginning. In fact, in Genesis, it actually references Jesus. We created mankind in our image. It's talking about God as a community unto himself, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. So he has all the power. What we do with our power is we immediately say, what am I going to control? What Jesus did with his power was saying, I'm getting rid of it for you. Look how Paul actually explains this in Philippians 2:3. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves. Not looking to your own interest, but each of you to the interest of others. In your relationships with one another, have the same mindset as Christ Jesus, who, being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used for his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness. What does Jesus do with his power? He gives it away for you and for me. What are you wondering what Christmas is about? It's about freedom. Freedom from caring what everybody thinks of you. Freedom from caring about you have to have the perfect house or the perfect meal or the perfect, whatever. It's freedom. That's what it is. And we miss the freedom. We do because we're trying to control. God, Jesus says, I'm giving up all my power for you. Guys, it's not easy. It's not easy to try to do this, and we all mess up on this. For me, if there's one question I've got in the past 24 months, it's by far this. And I get the question. Trust me, I get it. Where are we at with the building? Every week for 24 months. Where are we at with the bill? And I get the question. I totally understand where it's coming from. And here's the thing. Every time that question happens, it's like another brick on my shoulders. And I'm trying to it's coming along, but it's out of my hands. It's into the city's hands. And then once we sign the lease, I'm thinking, now we're good. And so, guys, we were supposed to have this and be in there by October. October came and went. Then we were going to be there in Thanksgiving, and surely we would be there at Christmas. No problem at all. That was what I was told. And when you are dealing with local governments, it doesn't work that way. That's what I'm finding out. And so you're going on somebody else's timeline. So if it were you and I, when we say I'll get back to you, that means I'll get back to you. If you're talking to the government, I'm going to get back to you, that means I'll get back to you in 2 weeks or a month. So nothing is on your time. And every week, where are we at? And honestly, guys, this was supposed to have been approved the day before Thanksgiving, and it wasn't. And I was bummed because I wanted so bad to come tell you we got all of our approvals. So I was bummed out. So I was trying to control it. And my family wanted to go and decorate the house, so we did. We went out and got a Christmas tree, and we were decorating it, and I was bummed. I was just like, man, this was supposed to have been done already. I don't understand, and I was trying to control it. And so when we were done decorating the tree, I took a picture of the tree. And do we have that picture? And that's our tree. That's from all your ornaments. And if you look really carefully, there's 2 little monkeys in the back there, and all they're doing is smelling the tree. And so I'm thinking, And what I was realizing was they were so happy smelling a Christmas tree. I wasn't filled with any joy because I was wondering, how am I going to get this thing done? And what this showed me was, you can't get that done. You don't have the power to get it done. So stop trying to control it and smell your Christmas tree like they are. Now, there's a cynical side of me going, hey, they don't have the pressures I'm under. I've got a ton of pressure. I've got to make this thing happen. We are paying double rents right now. That is your tithe money. That's the tithe money of the rest of South Hills. I take that extraordinarily seriously. We've got to move. We've got to make this happen. And so I finally saw that. I'm like, you know what? I can't control it. I can't. And so I'm going to let go. I'm going to let go and smell the tree, which made the next day so much better because that was a Saturday. Sunday we came to church. Last Sunday was so much fun. We were able to honor Angela. It was really cool. It was just a fun family. It was just, when you're a part of this family, you just know you're part of a family. It's just really, really cool. And so it was really fun. And then I came home, felt great. And the next morning, this is my announcement to you. The next morning, I got a message from our architect. And we finally now have all of our approvals from the city. So now we're like open and ready to go. So we can now get started on the work, and this is very, very, because we could not start anything until we do that. Now, this is going to be exciting because they're going to start ripping up the building very soon and getting all the work done. It's not a very long process, but it is certainly a process that needs to happen. I want to make sure that you are at our Dream Night, by the way. I want to make sure clearly on that. It's Friday night, and we have flyers on that. So as you're leaving, you can take a flyer for Dream Night. We will be meeting in our new building, so we're going to be there. It's still ripped up from when we ripped the carpets out, but we're going to be there. Dinner will be provided. We're going to have pasta from Chow Pasta. It's going to be really good. We will also have a gluten-free thing for people who go gluten-free. I like gluten, so I'm going to eat a lot of it. But we have that side too. So we're going to celebrate that day because, guys, here's the thing. What an unbelievable Christmas that for 5 years, guys, we have been nomads. Now we're here where you can't even find us. We are literally the Speakeasy Church of Orange County. Like, you do not know where this thing is. And so now all of these things are happening. Guys, 2024 is going to be so exciting. I've said this before and I'll say it again. You are founding members of a new church. You're not part of South Hill, South County. That's gone. You are founding members of South Hill, San Clemente. Guys, we're not better than any other church because we're all on the same team. But here's this. We have an opportunity to put our fingerprints on a new church. You know how rare that is? How cool that is? You know, it was neat. I was having lunch with one of our young, as a young couple that comes to our church, and he's such a cool dude, and he asked to meet with me, and I met with him. He's extremely new to church, but he really likes our church. And when we were talking at lunch, he said, I never thought I would actually be starting a church. I didn't even like church. I didn't even go to church. And now I'm starting one. And I saw the excitement in his eyes to start something new, and it was so cool. And he goes, my family, we don't really go to church very often at all. We're not really, religious. I'm like, well, I'm not either. And so he goes, so I told my dad, I'm going to church. And he goes, you're not going to church. He goes, I'm going to church. He's like, are you kidding? He's like, you certainly can't go dressed like that. He goes, Dad, the pastor wears like pink Chuck Taylors and Hawaiian shirts and shorts. Like, it's okay. Dad's like, there's no churches like that. He's like, no, there is. We're a different breed altogether, guys. It's a different thing. There are great churches that are ginormous, that are doing some ginormous things, and it's awesome. But we are going to do things our way, in a different way, and we could put our fingerprints on that. And it's so exciting. It's so cool. So please make sure you're coming over on Dream Night. It's going to be a really cool event. It's coming up on Friday. But it was really, really fun. So this week, guys, here's my challenge to you. Set some time aside to identify the false beliefs or assumptions that drive you for the grasp for power, whether it's control, perfection, having the answer, being there for others, or the approval of others. And after you've identified the one you feel like that's the one that you struggle with most, I want you to finish this line. Okay, you want to take a picture of that if you want to, but I want you to finish this line. I bring, for what the angel said on the day Jesus was born, I bring you good news, good tidings of great joy, for unto you is born this a Savior who has come to free you from what anymore? I bring you good tidings of great joy, for unto you is born this a Savior who has come to free you from needing to control the outcome, who has come to free you from having to achieve perfection, who has come to free you from struggling to be there for every person in need, to striving for always have the answer, to needing to get the approval of others. I'm coming to free you from all of that. And this Christmas, hold on to that and remember that. I think we should start this season by really giving up our power and trusting in His. The only thing and the only person that's going to rob you of joy at Christmas is you. Nobody has the power to do that. You're the only one that's going to do that. Guys, because the construction will be knee deep in it, it will actually be like hazardous for us to even have a service there. So we're going to have 2 Christmas Eve services here at 9 o'clock and 10:30, our same normal service times. And then that way you'll have the rest of the day to get with your dinners and make your cream corn or whatever you make. But we're going to be here. Add that, just a cool little side note, this will be the last Christmas we're going to be here at the harbor. So we're going to have some fun with it. Every kid coming to Christmas will get a cool Christmas present, cool toy. So make sure you spread that around. It's going to be a lot of fun. And it's going to be as we wind down our time here at the harbor. It's been a really cool 5 years. But I'm ready to move. So, but come in. It'll be our last Christmas and 9 o'clock and 10:30. Now, I have one last thing I want to say before we close, and it's this. Whenever we talk about, Christmas and what it means, for me, the best way that I understand Christmas is when I'm actually giving. Because when I'm thinking of what I want, or what I need to get done, my joy is being robbed. And I don't want your joy to be robbed. And this is a really cool way to do this. I've asked we're partnering up with a couple other campuses. I believe in this firmly. There's an organization that is, like we showed this video a couple weeks ago, of these foster families. These are families that are trying to do it on their own. It's hard. They're 18, they're 19. They're working, they're trying, they're paying the bills, but it's hard. And I want our church to come alongside them and say, hey, you know what? We want to help you out. Now, it's one thing to say, I'm going to give toward that. But here's the difference that I want to do right now, guys. I've asked for names. I don't want this to be just ambiguous or there's people that need help. From our church, I want our church to give Annie, Elijah, Ezekiel, Jocelyn, Alexis, Ashlyn, and Quentin a great Christmas. These are foster kids that just aged out of the system, and they're having a hard time. Now, this is what they could use. I'm looking maybe at $30, maybe. And I think our church can adopt these 7 people. I really do. What I'm going to do is, I never do this. If you notice, we don't pass around the offering bucket. You can give your tithes and offerings online, or you could do that here as you come out, or your prayer requests. We never pass anything around. But I want to pass this around because what I want to do is, if you want to, there's no pressure, but if you want to, you can put your name next to whatever person you want to adopt, basically to get them what they need. And that way we know what you're going to bring, and so everybody else knows that you're going to, and then next week you could bring that, and we'll make sure that they get it. So if you want to put your name next to them, you can, and if you don't, you don't have to, but this is a great way to start the Christmas season of, instead of what do I need to buy for my family and what kind of things do I need to make and how the house is going to look, these are foster kid families that somebody's going to go, here, South Hills, San Clemente wanted you to have this. Merry Christmas. So I'm going to pass this around. I'll start with you guys, and then you can pass it around, and there that is. So, guys, when we say Merry Christmas in a few weeks, we are going to say it with a lot of joy, because we're going to spend the next few weeks really understanding what this is all about. We are up for some exciting times. I will be taking lots of pictures. I will be taking video of our new home. Even I saw the people at the school when I was there this week, and they said, we're ready to have you come over. We are going to minister to that school, the Goddard School. And when we get there, we are going to be ministering to those families and those teachers. Guys, this is the beginning of a brand new adventure. And I'm so excited about it. All right, let's pray. Father, I just thank you so much for this church, your church, God. It's clear that you're blessing this church. You are using regular, ordinary, flawed people to do some really amazing things, God. We just thank you just for how you love us and for how you come alongside us. Jesus, I pray for everybody here that they know that they don't have to be perfect and they don't have to get the approval of everybody. Just as long as we know that you love us, we're good. And we know that, God, because you gave us everything. And so, God, help us to go into this Christmas season different than any other Christmas before, God, with a different view of who you are and how you love. It's in your name. Amen.
South Hills Church, I just want to take a moment and say thank you for watching our service online. Whether you're watching it for the first time or you're watching it again because you enjoyed the service so much from the weekend, I'd like to take a moment and dive into our giving. Every week we give people the opportunity to give back and give to the local church so that God can continue to bless your lives and bless your finances. Here at South Hills, we believe that everything comes from God. We believe that He's the one that chose us and brought us into this world, gave us our gifts and talents and abilities. And I just want you to know that when we give, we are giving back what God has already given to us. If you've ever seen any of our envelopes at a South Hills campus, you'll see on there that it says, every week at South Hills, your generosity is giving people the opportunity to live a better story. And there's a scripture on there in Matthew chapter 6, verse 21 that says, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So I want to encourage you today to click down below and set up your giving, whether it's for the first time or whether you're doing reoccurring giving. We have 4 ways to give here at South Hills. 1, you can do it in person at any of our campuses through an envelope. Or 2, you can actually text any amount that you would like to 84321. And the 3rd way is to download our Church Center app. I encourage you to do this one because the Church Center app gives you opportunity to stay connected with our church and your campuses. It's a great tool and resource for you to know what's going on. And the 4th way to give is to give online. You can go to southhills.org/give and you can set up your giving there. Whether you're a guest of our church or whether you are a member of our church, or whether you simply just like to watch our services, I encourage you to trust God with your finances so that He can bless and anoint your finances and you can be trusting God in this journey of living life to the fullest. I love you and thank you for watching our online service today.